Hey everybody, this is Craig Fujimoto, also known as Alex from the Hardy Construction. Just want to preface this episode as I'm not my usual self and I'm a salty, angry twat. So I'll be unfunny as usual. Everybody likes Danny better anyway, so enjoy the show, dickheads.
The Hardy Construction.
Hey, what's up everybody? It's the Hardy Construction. You can find us at hardyconstruction.tumblr.com, youtube.com/hardyconstruction, and Facebook us at facebook.com/thehardyconstruction with your host Alex and
Hubert.
And today's film is Cube from 1997, a Canadian film directed by Vincenzo Natali. 7 complete strangers of widely varying personality characteristics are involuntarily placed in an endless Kafkaesque maze containing deadly traps.
It sounds scary. It sounds like a scary movie. I bet it's a horror movie.
So, do you have any history with Cube, or is this the first time you saw it?
I do. I have seen it in the past, and I did forget certain aspects of it though. So it was like awesome to see it again.
Yeah, I saw Cube for the first time, I think, on late night television a long time ago, and I remember hearing about it, just seeing stills about it on I don't, maybe it was the internet. I might have seen it like around 2000 or 1998 or something like that.
It must be funny, like edited. I mean, not that there's so much cursing, but a movie like
yeah,
this
there's some grotesque kind of violence that happens in the film that's totally jarring when it first happens. I remember the first time when I first saw it, and they just show the second guy, Ren.
The safecracker.
Yeah, something happened to him in the film, and it's just like, what the fuck did I just see? It was pretty disgusting. But on television, of course, they didn't show it really. He kind of suffers the same fate as the phone guy on Saving Private Ryan, if you remember watching the first half hour of that film. So
it actually reminds me of In the Gate when the fake version of his dad's
right,
face,
yeah, and his face falls apart. And he's like,
yeah.
You've been bad. So let's get into Cube. It's a Canadian film, right?
The cube is actually a 3-dimensional square.
Is it? I had no idea.
Yeah.
So, I know one of the things that I remember hearing about the making of this film is that it was one set and just used different lighting.
That's what I figured, actually.
So I got to say that's pretty smart from the director and this crew, unless they just were cheap bastards. See how much you can do by just having no budget and you're like be able to be creative. That's kind of like what they do to Evil Dead and Evil Dead. Well, Evil Dead 2 had a lot more bigger budget for it. But
I mean, there were some things though, like all these like nails coming out of the wall that like
that was pretty, definitely computer graphics. You can tell.
But back then, they didn't really have computer graphics.
Well, they were definitely computer graphics, so you can tell the spikes coming out of the walls and like let's explain the opening. The first, they start with a cold opening of a guy, I guess one of the people who were inside the cube, trying to go into another room. So the room is what 14. It says 14 feet by 14 feet set. So and it's different. There's different colors. There's like white rooms, red rooms, blue rooms, and I think green rooms. If I remember.
Yeah.
The green rooms. And this bald gentleman is walking around. It's silent. And he's they have what kind of lock system is that? Is that kind of
it looks like some kind of like submarine.
That's what I was saying, like a hatch opening.
Yeah.
So it's this mechanized hatch when you spin the, what is it, like a propeller or something like that? Propeller lock?
Yeah, like it's got like the bar and you spin it.
And it just the hatch hisses open just like a submarine, because that's exactly what I thought it was. And the guy climbs through. And he goes down and he gets into this other room, and all of a sudden you hear this, you see a whoosh, like you hear a whoosh, and the guy's just standing still, stock still, and then he just begins to fall apart. He just like was cut into pieces, and into cubes basically. And if anybody, I guess that was like a second version of just saying how the title was. If anybody saw Resident Evil, the first film,
with the lasers, they totally took.
They totally ripped that off from here, and so let's get it. It goes to the title screen of Cube, and let's get into the opening with the characters. You want to start out?
Yeah, I just want to say it's a lot like in scenes of Looney Tunes where somebody will run through a fence.
Yeah, basically, it's a human cheese grater kind of thing.
Oh yeah. So, what do you want me to say? The names of the people or something?
The characters that we're first introduced to.
It's what is it? It's Quentin, who's like the black dude. Is he black?
He looks a little Hispanic and black, I guess. I remember He's the biggest aspect of the film that I remember because he looks like a crazy person. He has a crazy face.
I kind of forgot about him a little bit.
Really?
So
He's the only person I remember. He has like a theatrical kind of. You can tell he must have been a theater actor. Cause
I
he has
definitely remembered like Levin, the girl, like way more than anyone else.
I bet you're girl crazy. That's why.
Yeah, maybe.
So yeah, we have Quentin, who's the who we find out is a police officer. He's I don't know who he reminds me of, but he has these big, wide, expressive eyes, and he's just like the biggest dude there. There's Worth, who's
I like his name.
Worth is the white guy, so automatically he's the good guy in the movie. There's Levin, who
he's a high school like nerd who I was in high school. I only wanted to have sex with her.
She's a college girl. She has to be college.
She kind of acts immature though.
Is she of the chosen people? Because her name is Levin. So.
Yeah, maybe.
Who else is there?
Her middle name is Hala.
We find her because she opens one of the hatches while the other people are inside the room, and Quentin yanks her out and makes her fall on her head. I don't know why these people don't get hurt worse than when they do and they actually fall into rooms like that.
No, he doesn't yank her. He yanks
Ren?
the liberal woman.
Oh, okay, the doctor. So that's Holloway. Holloway is the doctor. Okay. And those are the first couple, right? And Ren's as well.
Yeah.
It's so funny, in the IMDb, the character says, "My name is Ren," but in the IMDb, it credited him as Ren's. So I guess Quentin was right.
Sons of bitches.
And so we're introduced to these 5 characters in the beginning, and they just woken up in these rooms and happened to, by happenstance, got into this main room that they're in together. We see Levin has glasses on, but they break, right?
Yeah, well, a little bit, yeah.
What do you think? What do you think works with this film? Like, what is it? It's a science fiction, but it's not really science fiction, and it's
a very realistic interpretation of how a black or Spanish man will act when under pressure.
Yeah, you could see that in Saw 2.
It shows the colors,
It's automatically the same thing in Saw 2. Yeah, like a big. Maybe Saw 2 also ripped off this as well because they had a big.
Guys trying to bash through the walls and stuff.
They had a huge Hispanic guy that you thought would be the hero of the film, and then he becomes a crazy lunatic. So it's basically, yeah, I guess Saw 2 ripped this one off.
It's something
as well.
in the, it's something in the breeding.
It's in the hot Latino blood, I guess. And
disgusting people you guys are, Alex.
As you can hear, I'm not going to be funny in this episode at all, so it's okay. You handle that weight. And they're I guess they're juxtaposed kind of personalities, right? Because what kind of characters are these guys? What kind of guy is Quentin?
He's like a lunatic.
Not really. He doesn't start out a lunatic. He starts out more of the.
He's like leader. He's the guy who takes charge.
Yeah, he's basically the person that you would be led to believe is the hero of the film because he's the one that's go-getting and he has positive outlook on the situation, even though, or more of a realistic positive outlook, as opposed to Worth's more morose kind of, idea of everything. But we'll get into that. And Levin is the scared college girl, and Holloway is a cynical female doctor.
She's one of those like liberal,
paranoid people,
like conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, definitely. And then Ren's is this character who gets offed off really quickly. I guess he's the French. He broke out of prison in Attica. Where does this movie take place? Because Attica was in New York, right?
I don't think they ever say where it takes place.
I know Attica is a prison in somewhere. I might be wrong.
Did he say Attica though?
He did say Attica. I remember that for sure. And I remember Attica from Dog Day Afternoon, so they must mean somewhere in the city. Well, I might be wrong. But no, actually, it might not be in New York City at all. Who gives a shit? So these characters are all different in their approach to the film, and I would say Quentin's the only serious one who wants to get out of it. I mean, everybody wants to get out of the room.
He's the only one doing anything productive, basically.
Right. While everybody else is kind of lamenting their situation, he's the one that's saying, let's go. And the guy Renz, who's been he took his boots off, and he has a method of finding out, how the rooms are, because Quentin had a sequence that I guess they didn't show in the film, is that he went into one of the rooms, and one of the rooms almost chopped his head off. So they're all figuring out that some of the rooms are booby trapped as opposed to the one that they're in right now, which is the first room. So
Right.
what does Renz do?
He throws his boot, and it makes a thing come out or something. It's very
What is the
scary.
trap? It was a fire trap, right? And it
Oh,
burns his
yeah,
boots.
you're right, yeah.
So I mean, this is the kind of thing that they have to deal with. It's an interesting take on the people stuck in a. I guess what kind of genre would this be?
It's like
It is horror,
sci-fi. It's like
sci-fi.
sci-fi horror.
It is horror, sci-fi, but it's a lot about characters speaking to each other because there's two different types of like science. It is basically a science fiction horror film. Because
Yeah.
why would it be considered a science fiction horror film? Because of the rooms that they're in?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's like weird fucking high-tech gadgets coming out of walls and shit.
Is that
So
what makes it
very
science? But what about like Saw? But that's considered straight horror. But why is that? What's
So
the
it's
difference?
not like as clinical or something, you know? You know what I'm saying?
I think it is.
I don't know. It's like a guy with like a big fucking bondage mask nailed to his face,
That's
and it's
true.
like, you have to get this off or you'll explode or something. This is
Wow.
like just some cold fucking.
Oh wow! I thought the Saw puppet was right there. I was talking to him on the phone. I couldn't believe how good that was.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, this is science fiction horror because it is. They do bring in the elements of numbers, and I don't even know how a writer begins to write numbers. I'm so terrible at mathematics that I wouldn't even
The person
begin.
that wrote it must have been like really into math or something.
Or they just probably asked their friend. They were like just.
Levin's like some kind of genius math whiz.
Yes.
And it turns out they all have a skill, and that is like a lot of things. Like that's like Stephen King does that kind of stuff a lot.
That's It's just what's that phrase called? Is it something that it just happens to work out for the characters? Like
Where God, the writer God, is helping the writers.
it's not a Deus Ex Machina, not kind of.
Yeah, right,
Is it
right.
sort of in a way because they're all given these like great traits that'll help them help each other out, except for Quentin. Quentin's not really anything besides a loudmouth, arm of the law kind of thing. And what do you think works with the film, and what makes it kind of stand out as opposed to other people trapped in a room kind of films?
Because it gets into the whole like people how they'll act in these kinds of situations. You know, like I said, like anyone with black or Spanish blood in their veins is going to become a raving lunatic when pressed to it. And a white man will always show his true colors.
Do you think it's a really hyper stylized kind of shot film? Because I know it's a lot of super medium close ups and wide. I guess they couldn't really do much with 14 by 14 size rooms.
Yeah, no, I mean,
It feels a little bit. It feels a little bit
like-
how crazy. What's his face? The guy who did that Peter Jackson kind of close ups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not manic like that, but I think that they're kind of stuck with that kind of filming just because of the size of the room.
I mean, it's supposed to be like claustrophobic
That's
and
true.
shit. Too.
That is true too. And what do you think of the design of the rooms? Although they're just one room.
I think it's really cool, actually. Like all these little weird lines and stuff on the walls and stuff. It makes me feel like it's one of my drawings, maybe. Something like that.
I'm looking up some of the trivia of the film, and it says director Vincenzo Natali directed a follow-up short film in which we see what is outside the cube. And then it says Natali has made a solemn vow never to reveal what was outside the cube and destroyed the video years ago. Which sounds like a bunch of horse shit to me, but did they show what happened in the second and the third film? I don't remember.
But we know what's outside it, not the cube. It's like regular world.
Yeah, I guess. I don't.
Well,
I guess what it actually looks like outside of it. Didn't they? I remember seeing sequences of the hypercube. I guess part 2. I don't remember.
even have any interest in seeing the sequels.
I heard they're terrible. I heard the second one is okay, but the third one is the
The
worst.
whole fucking point of this movie is it's like a fresh idea, kind of, and like, it's like a new thing. To do it again, it's just like
it's a little weird
okay,
to try
so
to
we're
do
back
the.
to-
It's a little weird to do the second one. That it's kind
Basically,
of.
that's what the Saw movies are. The first
That's
time
basically
it's cool.
The first time is really good, and then you have to keep doing it over and over until it becomes like really
Literally, all it is
a
now is
complicated
like,
mess.
how's this guy gonna die now? Like, that's it.
Yeah, it automatically just shows you that you're trying to once you make a successful film, and you have to up the ante, everything, and then for that you just sacrifice what happens in the for the
Like,
story
for a
wise.
straight up slasher movie, like Friday the 13th. Obviously, we know how's Jason gonna kill this person, but like that's the type of movie it is. This is actually like a cool psychological movie, so you can't recreate it.
Yeah, it's like sequels to this wouldn't make any sense because you're just going to take the same premise and what can you do with people going into another room? I mean, I think this film basically exhausted any idea of what else you can do with it. You know what I mean?
They have a room where like
I don't, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way.
Yeah. They should have like, you should have rooms where like, you know, like weird little midgets will come out of the wall and like rub their genitals on you.
See, I was gonna say that, but I'll let you be funny this episode. Was that guy in here? Was that guy the morose guy? What was his name?
Worth?
Is he the guy from Battlestar Galactica? Did he get fat for Battlestar Galactica, or am I just like?
I don't know.
I remember his face, but I think he just got fat for Battlestar. Wait, you talk about the movie. Go ahead while I look this up.
Stargate. He's in Hellcats.
Hellcats.
Yeah.
Where would they shoot that in Korea?
They're cats from hell.
Get it? So no, he's not the same guy. He's a different guy. David Hewlett. I know that guy from something.
You know what? You know him from Cube, I think.
Okay, that's it. I guess so. No, maybe it was SG.
Does anyone here know how to get the area of a cube?
How do you get it? How did the girl find out?
I'm not quite sure. I think it's length times width times depth.
How did that girl first figure out how to get to the room? Because I must have been like dozing off or something. No, I wasn't dozing off, but I must have been like looking.
Well, all of them somehow got to the same room, which I find weird. They probably just heard each other's voices. Like, yeah, because this is so possible that they could have all gotten to different rooms, especially when you find out that it's all moving. Basically, it's like a giant Rubik's Cube, and everything moves around.
So apparently this movie was shot in 20 days, and a lot of it was shot with a handheld camera, so that's not bad, I guess.
Yeah, it's really good.
This is all the trivia. It's all the characters were chartered accountants in the original first draft of the script. So what did you think of Worth's reveal? Because, I mean, they try to give you enough.
Well, I was a little confused, actually, because, you know, you find out that he builds it, or he helped build the shell or whatever, but then at one point Holloway says to them, so how long have you known they were putting people in here? And he, like, admits it? But, like, how did he...
No, I don't think he knew how many people were being put in there. He was just a cog in the machine, basically one...
No, but then she directly says to him before her death, she says, so how long have you known that there are people being put in here? And he says... a couple months or whatever the hell he says. I don't remember.
I must have not paid any attention to when she said that line. I'm sorry.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't remember hearing that at all. That was the part. What was Holloway asking him, right?
Yeah, right before she swings out of the window or whatever.
So also in the trivia, all the characters are named after prisons. Quentin is San Quentin, California. Holloway is from England. An English prison. Kazan is for Russian prison. Rennes is France. Oh, I guess it's a little play on since they're in prison.
Where's Levin?
Levin is Leavenworth, Kansas. Oh, so it's two characters, Levin and Worth. Leavenworth. Oh, that's very clever. And Alderson is West Virginia. Very funny. Not only characters are named after prisons, but they reflect the prisons themselves. Example, Kazan, the mentally challenged character in Russia, is a disorganized prison. Jesus, that's a little bit reaching, is it? Whoever wrote this trivia,
disorganized prison. Well,
that's a little reaching for whoever wrote that. I bet you it was a guy with big glasses that wrote that shit. So, what do you think about the little twists that they throw here and there when they show that that Worth is a designer or well, how far into the future do you think this film?
It's I mean, I think it's like right now times.
You think so? If there's still, this took place in 1997, that there's police officers when somebody's building a huge complex like this? Like, it's just an underground kind of death trap?
Well, is it underground?
Well, listen, if it's happening pitch black...
Well, there's, like, daylight, though, at the end.
Right, so maybe that room was moving up. I don't know whether they move up or down, but I assume they were moving up because, I mean... There's a sequence when Holloway falls to her death and everything's black, and I assume that's just because they're lowered down into the ground. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Like it's hollowed earth, wherever they put that in. Like somebody must have... Did you buy that shit when Worth is saying that there's nobody running the show? That wouldn't make any sense to me.
Somebody obviously studied all these people and chose them to be in this thing.
Yeah, and for the fact that they're putting them in the room in the first place, like why would somebody just do that? It doesn't make any sense.
But it is possible that maybe they didn't all know what they were making as they're making it, but then like somebody knew.
I don't know what happens in the second and third, so I assume that there's some sort of explanation of what happens. I do know in the there's a character named
I
Kazan.
don't even want to see it though.
There's a character named the second one, Hypercube takes. Oh no, is Cube 3 the one that takes place before? One of them is a prequel, so that's even stupider.
Cube 0, I think.
Cube 0, that's the third one, right?
Maybe.
And I believe there's a character who's mentally handicapped in the film. His name is Kazan. He's the one that they end up using to find a way out of here because he knows prime numbers and stuff like that, and astronomical figures. He's actually in the prequel film, and he's normal, and I guess they do something to him which causes him to be mentally retarded.
Causes him to not like the color red.
Yeah, I guess so. And I always thought
they turn him into a bumblebee.
Although that was the biggest twist in the film, is that he doesn't like red jelly beans, so that's why he doesn't like red.
Yeah,
that's very funny.
He has his caretaker bashes him in the balls with a stick, and then he'll jerks him off, and he'll come red like an Antichrist.
So what do you think worked and didn't work with the film?
I don't know. It's fucking awesome. Like the whole breakdown of Quentin, like, and when he drops that girl, he's like so fucking creepy.
Yeah, he has a really good. I mean, for the most part, he's like really over the top acting wise.
The whole part when he's like holding her on the rope and then he lets go, like that's like sick. I don't know.
Like he's a guy where he looks cool, like you believe in him as a leader, but then when they told him to act as a crazy person, he just takes it like to the next level of beyond crazy. But not that he's yelling and going cuckoo, but it's just his facial expressions are like it's like the fucking most hilarious things to see because he has these huge wide eyes and these what dark purple lips and shit, and it just looks like a mask. He just like he's wearing a mask, and it's funny. And
it's pretty crazy.
And so there's basically no negatives for you in the film.
Not really. Yeah, no, I really can't think of anything bad to say.
Who are your favorite characters and why?
I love Worth and I really like Levin, and I love Quentin. I actually love all of them. They're all really good.
I think all the characters work. What did you think of the setup of the film? Like, have you seen any films that are like this? I mean, it's basically the people trapped in a room. You know,
I can't think of
Demon Knight. You know, where people said there was another film called that I just saw recently. Well, not recently, maybe like half a year ago, called The Killing Room, and it's kind of the same premise.
They're in like one room kind of thing?
Yeah, and it's like a government, like MK Ultra. Sorry, that's like a brainwashing facility that the government used to have to try to, cause to create assassins and shit like that. But they put these 5 or 6 strangers in a room, and they're trying to, see who cuts the what's the phrase?
Umbilical?
Yeah, something like that. To be a super assassin and shit like that. But they're just regular people. But the only bad thing about that film is that Nick Cannon was there from Day of the Dead. And he was playing another kind of. He was playing a kooky character. He wasn't playing thugged out, so that was a little bit.
In other news, just totally separate. I don't know why I thought this, but everyone should try to watch the Roseanne Barr roast on Comedy Central.
I saw it last night. It was pretty terrible. Anthony
did.
Jeselnik was good, and so was Amy Schumer. But I didn't see Gilbert Gottfried, but everything else is pretty
Gilbert
good.
Godfrey was like the funniest one.
I didn't get to watch his yet. She's always funny. So wait, let me see something about Hypercube. Cube 2 Hypercube is it 2003?
It's the same exact thing, but they give everyone caffeine and candy.
Yeah, that's true. A big cube of sugar. That's what they make it mean. Is a 2003 Canadian psychological thriller horror sequel to the psychological. Oh my God, who fucking wrote that? Listen to this sentence. Cube 2 Hypercube is a 2003 Canadian psychological thriller/horror film and the sequel to the psychological thriller/horror film Cube. What the fuck did they think the first one was? Like, people are going to read this and go, oh, maybe the first one's a romantic comedy. Asshole. Fucking Wikipedia moron.
Where are you reading this off of?
Wikipedia. Cube 2 Hypercube had a bigger budget than its predecessor. Oh, wow. And a new director, Andrzej Sekula. Ooh, that must sound bad. The industrial-style rooms of the first film are replaced with high-tech, brightly lit chambers. Ooh. Instead of traps such as flamethrowers and extending spikes, the rooms themselves are a danger as they distort time and move through each other. Oh, boy. That sounds pretty bad. So anyway, I don't even want to know what the fuck happens in those films. So anyway, I guess it's the second one takes place through time and dimensions, and the third one I believe is the prequel. So who gives a shit? I do remember one of them people actually walking out of the cube into like a desert. I might be wrong.
Yeah,
but
I mean that could have been where they were in the first one.
I guess so. But I think I think there's don't bother with the sequels. I don't know. I know Cube Zero is horrible. That's all I heard from everybody that's seen that film.
Oh, really?
It's really bad. So what do you think was the main gist of what this guy was this director was trying to
I think he was trying to do
across?
exactly what I said, to show the heart of the black man.
Besides that, what did you think the film was supposed to be?
He's
Just a
showing-
character study, or was it more of a fun way to make a horror science fiction film?
No, I
'Cause
think it was about the human condition.
It does feel like this could have been a 15-minute film, but they stretched it enough to make it cool. Like, they made the characters interesting enough and the threat of each character interesting enough to make it watchable for 90 minutes. It's a lean 86-minute film, so it's not...
I'm trying to think of, like,
And it moves very
examples of,
fast.
like, you know, where people come together and use their skills to do things, and each person has a specific skill.
It was the A-Team, right?
A-Team, exactly. It's like the A-Team of psychological horror.
Did they do that in, like, Star Trek The Next Generation? They all have, like, separate, or they were, like, the same guy.
I don't really know much about Star Trek. I'm sorry, everyone.
Who gives a shit about that? So anyway, were you happy with the ending of the film?
No.
Why
I was
not?
very upset with,
Besides
my
wanting to
favorite
have sex
club
with
Red's death.
Eleven, but he was such an idiot. Worth really was like.
Yeah, he really is.
He
stupid.
really caused this girl's death at the end because he could have just went up there instead of being an emo fuck. He could have climbed up the fucking ladder.
Worth is
and
the
left.
original emo guy.
He really is. He sits around in the corner with like big bags under his eyes, like "Woe is me," with like a copy of The Crow. under his
After
arm.
James from Twin Peaks, of course.
Boy, what an asshole! If he had just, they get right to the end.
Yeah,
and
he
they
could
can
have
get
killed
out.
himself after. I mean, at least if
Yeah.
you're gonna die on
He's
your own
bumming
terms.
out. The first thing you do when you see bright open lights, the motherfucker slumps to the floor and sits down because he's so depressed that he had a hand in making this.
Oh,
So why not
poor
trying to
Worth.
change it? Fucking Worth,
Little baby.
shithead. But
And he gets that girl killed. I mean, the thing's gonna move any second. Why couldn't he have just fucking at least motivated her to go out?
right, and I'm sad that they didn't show Quentin die in the film, although he did
They
die.
could
With
sit in the room anyway. Like they said, they could have avoided a hell of a lot of trouble.
What'd you think of the gore effects? Good or? They were
Yeah.
pretty good. I like when Ren's face melted off. That was pretty good.
There weren't many, but like what there was pretty great.
Yeah. So they had Ren's face melt off. They had Holloway fall off into the abyss, I guess. What do you think she hit? She must have hit something at the bottom, right?
Probably hit a big giant dildo. It went in her butt and came out her
Symmetrically
mouth.
just got her. Who else died in this movie?
Finally got laid. Now she's not so angry.
And this guy Quentin got smashed in half by the elevator. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's an interesting film. It's a good take on the science fiction trapped in a room kind of horror film. There's a bunch of movies that came out after this that did the whole, I could swear Saw 2 is based on this, just the traps in the room kind of thing.
Except Saw 2 sucks. I mean, Saw movies
it's
in
pretty
general
bad. I'm
are,
glad.
like,
I thought you said you liked
but
Saw
I just
2.
I don't know. I've seen 1 through 3, and
I
1
saw all of them.
okay, 2 was okay, 3 was pretty cool, actually, but I kind of hate them in a way.
I saw all of them, and 1 and 6 were the only ones that I liked. The rest of them were some of the worst movies I ever saw. I don't know.
You saw all the way to 6? You kept watching?
I saw it through 7. What are you talking about? I saw all of them. They're all horrible, except
and you
for 1
hated
and 6.
all of them. Why do you keep fucking
No, 1 was
watching?
good. It's one of those things where you watch the part of something and then they'll say, "Oh, we'll end the series," and I'm like, "Okay, I gotta watch the rest of these shitty movies." I worked at a movie theater. We had them every fucking 3
And
seconds.
it's just like they're okay, you know. Like I just like I don't know.
Worst acting. Anyway,
Some of the I like some of the story, but like gets to a point where it's just silly. My
What
friend insists that it gets good and I should keep watching.
Cube movies? I mean, Saw movies?
Yeah.
Your friend's an asshole. So, so Cube, we're giving it. I get. What would you give this film?
I'm gonna give this I'm gonna square this movie.
I'm gonna wait for you to say let me see if you could drive it into the ground. The Latino black crazy guy joke. Go ahead,
No, I'm not going to. I think I've made my point on that.
Okay.
I think I've definitely made my point. I'm gonna give this movie.
You were totally gonna say it again.
I want to say it again, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna think of something else. 9 squared.
Yikes.
Of a guy named Ren. See, I'm going back to the beginning now. A guy named Ren reassuring everyone that they're safe and that all you have to do is throw a boot, and then instantly dying a horrible death of his face melting and collapsing in, like the guy from the gate.
And I will give it a 9 out of 10. Mentally ill guy going "Hey!" and causing a trap to happen. So if that, what is our next film?
Love Object.
By who suggested it?
Oh, my friend Kylie.
Okay, cool. So with that, our next episode is Love Object. So Danny, what's the final word?
Beef queef.
The horror deconstruction.